Hello and welcome to the Two-Man Power Trip. I'm your host, JP John Paz. We're welcoming back a great guest to the show. He was on the show a few years ago, believe it or not, when Hunting Hitler was kind of dominating the ranks of the History Channel. But he is, of course, a sergeant, an Army Ranger, a Green Beret, a legendary MMA fighter. Here's Mr. Tim Kennedy. Tim, welcome back. How you doing?
I'm amazing. How you doing?
Very good. What's going on in your world?
Man, just training, working hard. Election. I just voted. Where's my sticker? I don't know. It's over there somewhere. Yeah, just I'm doing the 2022 thing pretty hard. Getting business back up and going. You know, making sure people don't forget about what 2021 was like, so we have a better year.
Yeah, God, let's hope so. Jesus, for sure. What's going on with BJJ? I see you wrestling and grappling this mountain of a man. What the heck's going on over there?
Dude, Big Dan. Actually, I don't know. See, my face is jacked up. Yeah, 6'8", 290 pounds. He's a talented grappler with the new wave team with Danaher. I watched him at On It. I think it was the Eddie Bravo Invitational. Like just like literally break some dude's leg. I bounced around between the new wave team. I'm actually sitting at my headquarters where we have our own jiu-jitsu gym in it. And Sean J. Ribeiro's team at Six Blades. So I train 6 days a week. Try to get somewhere between 6 to 10 sessions a week.
Man, that guy, it's almost unfair. How do you deal with that? No, your professor or whatever would say technique, but how do you deal with a guy that big? He's gigantic.
He is gigantic. It's his size is a problem, but he's also really, really good. I know it's really easy to look at like the Gordon Ryans and and the Big Dans and even now John Jones moving to heavyweight and where I know he's going to be very dominant. And people are like, he's big. He's like, no, he's also really good, and that's where the problem is. Size does matter, as does technique, and I think those two things kind of even each other out. Like if everybody's equally talented in the technique department, obviously the bigger and stronger and faster person's going to win. And the delta between those two, like there's no telling where that's at.
The thing amazed me years ago when you were fighting for Strikeforce and you were fighting Jacare Souza, he would not take you down. He did not want to go on the ground with you, which is shocking because obviously if his background. Were you kind of just looking back at that surprised? It's like, damn, you must be pretty good on the ground. If this guy's like, nope, but want no part of taking you down.
Yeah, that was a mistake on my part. I thought for sure, I did a lot of my fight camp preparing for him to take me down and, wrestling, clench, stand-ups. And, if you look at my fight with Hodger Gracie in the UFC, that's what the fight with Jacare would have been like. So, like, I will actually give him a nod for in fight camp. Like, he knew what I was going to be preparing for, which is him trying to take me down. And I think he knew that being on the ground with me is not where he'd want to be. And man, I did lose that fight. That was a title fight.
Yep.
And
Close though.
It was really close. I still think I won that fight, but had I been more prepared for his aversion to going on the ground with me, it would have been a totally dominant fight.
I thought you did win. Should have won the title, but that's neither here nor there. But that was really close, and obviously, he had a different game plan than what you would normally think from Jacare.
Yeah, for sure.
When you look at your fighting career, absolutely done. I know you kind of retired in 2016, but you absolutely done. No more MMA.
No, I'll never get hit in the head for money again. I nearly 18 years as a professional fighter. I love being a fighter. I still love and treat myself like a professional athlete. I still train enough to compete at a very high level, but I plan on living to 100, and I plan on doing martial arts until I'm 100, and I want to take care of my brain.
Some of those fights, like you said, Jacare, even Yoel Romero, when you look at that fight, that could have been a TKO because he didn't even get up off the stool. You know what I mean? There's certain things when you look back, you gotta not be annoyed at, but it's like, oh man, I had that one.
Yeah, I definitely had a roller coaster career. I had the privilege of fighting for a couple of world titles, as a champion in a few different organizations. And but I think every athlete's going to look back, Mike Tyson, the greatest of all time, is going to look back and be like, man, why did I bite that dude's ear off? So everybody has those regrets. And if you think about the what ifs, like the Yoel Romero, like, did he cheat? Absolutely. Did I win that fight? Absolutely. Did I knock him out? Absolutely. Did he not answer the bell? Absolutely. And if I sit here and they're like, oh, what if they called it at the end of the second between the third round? And I went on to fight Michael Bisping, and I became the UFC champion because, of course, I would destroy Michael Bisping a second time. All of those are useless roads to go down.
To me, obviously won that one. But I was always not maybe surprised, but like everyone talked to Bisping. Oh, look at his resume. Like you had no problem. I mean, you wiped the floor with him. That was not an easy fight per se, but that wasn't like a difficult win. You know what I mean? You handled him easily.
Yeah, it was not a close fight, but it was a credit to him. He's a tough guy. I put it on him for those 5 rounds. I literally like beat the brakes off him, and he got up every single time, and he tried to fight his way back to his feet. And every time he answered that bell with a look of trying to knock me out. So as much as I may not like him as a person, when he was a fighter, he seems like he's doing great as a commentator. But it was I enjoyed fighting him that way.
He's always like the bad guy. You know what I mean? Especially to us in the States. It's always like Bisbang Hendo, and Hendo cleaned his clock. You know what I mean? Like he's always the villain to us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was his shtick, right? Like that's how he sold tickets, was by being the villain. And same way that Conor McGregor did it, and the same way that now Colby Covington does it. It's in every fight you want to have people that are cheering for the villain, and then you have guys that are like cheering for the hero and the Captain America. So it's part of the fight game.
Definitely Captain America for you, for sure. That's what it seemed like. And even when you did that tribute to the troops kind of thing, when you guys were fighting in front of the troops, killed Natal too. I mean, that like it almost seemed like a little bit of that push from them, like a little bit of a Captain America vibe.
Yeah, it's I've fought in some of the biggest places in the world. I was supposed to fight Rashad Evans at Madison Square Gardens. From live in front of tens of thousands of people with millions of people watching. But there's something extra special about being in an aircraft hangar on a military base surrounded by people in uniform. It's pretty rad.
And getting the KO, getting the win was awesome.
Yeah, but being there is one of the highlights of my career.
When you look at that, does UFC, it's almost like, okay, I mean, we're actually fighting for real. I mean, life or death situations. Does UFC mean like less to you because of that experience? I mean, is it almost easier doing UFC? It's like, man, I'm almost getting killed out here for real. I could do it, and I could fight for money.
I mean, fighting's just fighting. And it's a sport. Yeah, I'm not disparaging fighting, but like there is a person in the octagon with us whose sole purpose is to protect the athletes. They're they can't even be compared. They're so vastly different. I never compared them in my mind to be to have any similarities whatsoever. Like the only thing really was like the discipline, the intentionality of training camps, and ultimately, like, you walk into a special operations team room, and like the guys look like Greek gods. When you walk into a fight camp at like Jackson, Winklejohn, your like top team, like everybody looks like they're carved out of stone. So there is that similarity that physically the guys are all monsters. So I guess they have that.
I mean, just to think about it, it's like, wow, this guy is, fighting for us, really, but fighting for real, to kill people and vice versa. And it's like, yeah, maybe UFC isn't, the most dangerous place the octagon is not the most dangerous place he's ever been to.
Nah, fighting in sport's just fighting. I've been doing that since I was like 4 with my big brother.
Be a little intimidated, like if I was fighting, you know what I mean? He's like, man, this guy's been, he's been some places, right? I mean, where have you been, like as far as serving and stuff?
Literally everywhere that we've been at war at for the past 20 years. But like everybody bleeds. Me going to war didn't better prepare me to be an athlete because they're different. And I hope that all of my training, all of my opponents, just went in there as if they're fighting another guy. Like I didn't have a gun.
Right.
I have body armor on. I was sitting there in shorts and gloves, just like they were. Even playing field.
Where's the most dangerous place you've been, as far as in the world, obviously?
Oh man, you should watch the documentary "Send Me" on Amazon.
Okay.
That was during the evacuation of Afghanistan. That was terrible. I was in Ukraine a couple of times this year. That was terrible. And then obviously peak Afghanistan and peak Iraq during Al Qaeda and Taliban. We'll say their peak years, early war, all over Africa. Yeah, all the things.
Man, to me, like that's just like crazy, like of where you've been, what you've been able to do, what you've seen, obviously. But then the flip side of it, which is really cool, it's like they take that your ability to be all these places, and they used it for the History Channel for the Hunting Hitler show, which was awesome because it's like who better to send than Tim Kennedy? You know what I mean? That was like just the perfect casting, if you will. Like, how did that actually occur? How did they like find you and get you for that show?
So they weren't calling me to be an on-screen talent. They were calling to like consult. They're going down to South America. I'd been deployed to South America multiple times. They needed somebody that could fly drones. Obviously, I can fly drones. They needed somebody that had used ground penetrating radar, that could speak Spanish, that had contacts, in Chile and Argentina. So like obviously that's a lot of 7th Special Forces Group guys that deploy to South America often. And most people that had been to combat in the past 10 years had, whether it was drone or ground penetrating radar experience. So I was in this group of people that were very eligible to do or consult for them about some of the technology that they were going to use. And then in the process of like talking about the episodes and the preparation for the episodes, they're like, "Man, would you just be on screen?" I was like, "I don't know if I can, but you're going to pay me to hunt Nazis? I'm in. I'm in."
Right.
Yeah.
Crazy what you guys were able to find too, because you'd think like, okay, is this true? Did they really escape? Like, what really happened? And then, lo and behold, you guys find all that stuff. And not only did they escape, they lived these places. I mean, they kind of cultivated these areas. They were living under their real names sometimes. I mean, pretty
Yeah.
crazy, scary stuff.
Yeah. Evil people living into their old age angers me. Yeah. I'd rather them just be in the dirt early before they do any damage, but stay
It
lucky.
is. It is like, what's the craziest thing that you found when you look back at that show? Because you guys were finding like all their paraphernalia. I mean, the big symbols. You guys, I mean, you guys are finding all this architectural stuff of theirs.
Yeah, man, I got in trouble from Facebook and Instagram because we found in this dude's house in Buenos Aires, Argentina, we found a bunch of like uber Nazi paraphernalia that the guy had kept from his father, like swastikas and iron crosses and palm leaves, and I was like, dude, look at what we found on this Nazi down here. And Instagram was like, I got a check mark against me for hate speech. Like
Whoa.
clearly can't even read because I was talking about hunting Nazis and
Yeah.
but whatever. I don't know. Joseph Mengele, he's the angel of death. He's a
Yeah.
super nasty dude. I physically held his marriage certificate where he married a woman to be able to have citizenship and own land down there. That was really eerie. And we followed him into this place called Bariloche, and then we followed him into Chile to this place called Via Bavaria, and he helped set up a hospital there. And it blows my mind that one of the most evil humans to ever walk the face of the earth died of old age on a beach in Brazil. Like that sucks.
And under his name, which is just nuts. It's like, how the hell do you still have your same name? Like somebody should have found you, gotcha, but they never did.
No. Yeah, I think he was being protected, but that's a different story.
Right, right, of course, yeah. Who knows? Operation Paperclip and all the other stuff with NASA and all the other stuff going on.
Yeah.
You never know what's truly going on there. But I would love for them to bring that show back. I mean, that show was so good because it's like, what the hell? Like the secrets of the world. Like, what the hell is going on out there? Why are they being protected? Had they get out? And then you find out with not only submarines but the planes that were out. Is Russia wasn't paying attention, or maybe intentionally? Who the hell knows some of that stuff? But you guys were able to unearth some crazy stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope people go and watch that show. I think it's important for history is so important for us to not repeat the mistakes of our past.
Yep.
You have to know your history. And like it's sad as we're currently living through like a 1984 era of society where it's like, you guys need to pick up some books and look at where this ends up. It's not good. And would be my hope for this generation as they pick up a history book.
Yeah, it's crazy. If you don't know your history, you're destined to repeat it without even knowing you're repeating it. Like,
Yep.
come on, guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
As we wind it down, though, we head towards the finish here. Just give me some of your favorite fights. I love the Manhoof fight. Obviously, you're like a Strikeforce legend. Strikeforce was great. I used to love Strikeforce. Robbie Lawler, but give me some of your favorite fights.
Man, before that, I fought for WC, and it was like Halloween Fury, and I'm backstage with Chuck and Eric Childers, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to fight at heavyweight?" I was like 190-pound 19-year-old, and they're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Who are you fighting?" Like, I don't know, that guy, and it was like this big, huge, burly, shaved head, 28-year-old boxer, and I was like, "Sure." That it's that like late 90s, early 2000s MMA was a totally different thing than what everybody's used to now, where there's like lights and smoke and production. And, you get to watch like the backstory to each of these guys. Back then it was like, hey, you want to fight that guy? And it's like, yeah, I'll fight that guy. And you go fight that guy. 8-man tournament. In that 8-man tournament was like everybody that was good at the time. Dennis Kang, Jason Mayhem Miller, myself, Ryan Narte, and this 8-man tournament, it was being reffed by Matt Hughes. Chuck Liddell and Jeremy Horn were in the corner of most of the fighters. And, you had to fight. It was Pride rules on an Indian reservation. And it was the Extreme Cage Fighting Championship. You could kick down opponents. You could knee down opponents. And you had to fight 3 times in one night to be the champion. It was awesome. It was awesome.
And you won it, right? Yeah, I know you beat Mayhem Miller, but I don't know if that was the finals or not.
Yeah. Now I fought him in the semifinals.
But you won. But you won the whole thing, which is great.
Yep.
That Manhoof fight that I was talking about, I love the Robbie Lawler fight. I thought you won the Jacare fight, the Bisping fight. I love just because it's like probably an underdog just because of his resume, and then you just
Yeah.
wipe the floor with him. So I mean, those are some of my favorites. Really, really fun fight. I wish you fought more. I mean, you think you were 16-4, 20 times. I almost wish you fought more.
Yeah, I think like the first 20, 30 fights were before they were even keeping track. I'm old. So, yeah, this was before Sherdog. This was before MMA Weekly, MMA Junkie. None of that stuff was even around. I was going to New Orleans to fight in the barroom floors and to St. Augustine Island to fight in the beach on a rope ring and to go down to Tijuana or Cobra. Those dirty fights.
Did you ever think about pro wrestling? I'm just kind of surprised you never got into it.
Nah.
You have the personality for it, though. You know what I mean? Like you got that certain swagger to you. You could have done some pro wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they're better athletes than me.
I was thinking about it because I saw that awesome action figure you had. So I was like, oh, maybe he could have been. Obviously on timkennedy.com, but you got that awesome, almost like G.I. Joe-esque action figure.
Yeah. Yeah. He's hilarious. His name is Duster, and he's got 2 heads. He's got my regular head like this, and then during winter, I grew out this big goatee, and it's my hunting beard, and he's got that too. So it's kind of funny.
Love it. How do you think like you'll be remembered as far as MMA? Your obviously history with the military. How do you think the stamp, if you're going to leave behind, like how do you think Tim Kennedy will be remembered?
I think my kids are gonna miss me. I think the the things that I leave behind, like the businesses and the positive effect I have for this country, I hope those are the things that people look to. Fighting was a hobby.
Think about it, the book though is perfect. Scars and Stripes. You're fighting the Taliban, UFC, and yourself. So I mean, that's like a kind of a perfect way to kind of encapsulate you. It's like you're fighting it yourself, also the evil terrorists, and some UFC fighters along the way. I mean, pretty crazy a life you had.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride. A lot more to do, man. I'm honestly just getting started.
And you did some Nazi hunting, which is pretty remarkable.
That I did. Not a lot of people got to do that in this generation. So
Yep.
I got that feather in my hat.
Give us like all the information of what you're up to today. Ranger up, timkennedy.com, like everything you're up to today.
Yeah, Sheepdog Response is the building I'm sitting in right now. It's a defensive tactics training company. I have Noble Defender, a tactical weapons accessory company, and everything else for me on social media is Tim Kennedy MMA. So you can find me on all the social medias.
What's up next for you? What are we going to be looking out for?
I got a couple of TV shows that we're working on. Working on another book. Businesses are booming, so a lot more business stuff. Just launched a new supplement line yesterday called Live Relentless, and we're just hammering on.
Nice. What's in Live Relentless? What do you got going on there as far as supplements?
We have pre-workouts with vitamin packs and whey proteins, post-workout meals, all of like your basic cornerstone supplements that most athletes use.
All right, Tim, thank you so much for all the time. Of course, everybody, I implore you to follow you on Instagram. You're a great follow on IG. I know me and my buddy, we always sending us whatever you're up to. We always send each other back and forth. So, Tim, thank you so much for all the time. Really appreciate it.
You appreciate you.